Christian Standard Bible. Um, my section is called "Go the Second Mile." You have heard that it was said, "An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth." But I tell you, don't resist an evildoer. On the contrary, if anyone slaps you on your right cheek, turn the other to him also. As for the one who wants to sue you and take away your shirt, let him have your coat as well. And if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him too. Go to the one who asks you and don't turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. Um, I'll use an example that that occurred actually at work. For those that don't know, I'm a teacher and I work with students. Um, I had a student who was he volunteered to help me clean clean the classroom, and then it was him and someone else, and student A told student B that student B missed the spot. Student B got upset and walked away, right? Like got in his face and walked away. So I approached the student A and I pretty much said like, hey, like, that looked pretty intense. What happened? And student A was like, well, I just said you missed a spot and they got mad, and I didn't want to get in trouble, so I kind of just ignored it. And I explained to him literally this very first um verse 39. And I told him what that verse is saying is it's not taking it literal. Like how we talked about how with the right hand, right? It's not talking about literally, right? No, first of all, be so no one's gonna slap you on the cheek and then you're gonna be like, go ahead, like do
Yeah.
the other one. No, I told the student that what this verse is saying is that even when disrespect is so blatant to your face, that is that much to your face to the point where like in this example, right? Like it was like very to the face, like verbal, right? It's when disrespect is to the face to where you know yourself, right? Where it's like, hey, if it gets this any more intense, I'm gonna do something, right? But it's the fact that you have these things, and it's like, what, I'm gonna choose not to do that, right? Like even though someone is getting literally to my face and literally being so disrespectful to the face where I'm gonna get angry, I still choose to not engage in it, because with that, and I told the student that what's that showing to you as a believer is that shows integrity, not just but as a person, right? To where other people are now intrigued, like, dude, like that was actually really, I can't believe you said no to that, right? Like if that was me, I would have, right? But I this hearing like this very verse was like what I was thinking of, because it's not like you can avoid conflict in life, right? Because that's how we grow as people, right? It's when we're dealt with conflict in life, and
Mhm.
we grow in the conflict, right? But it's there's a difference with like when conflict's in your face and you're like, I'm not gonna lash back at you, right? Compared to like you try to avoid conflict altogether, right? Every direction that Jesus went, there was conflict, right? So it's not like, and if we're out to be Christ-like,
Yeah.
right? Like you're gonna have some conflict in your life, but when it's the conflict that's appearing in your life, what are you choosing in those moments of conflict, right? Like, because had it been worse, okay, now then I'd have to be like, dude, like why'd you do that? You know what I'm saying? Like now you have to face the consequences when you could have just not, right? But this student chose to not engage in it, right? To someone that literally yelled, yeah, I know all of us here has had someone like yell to our face, and we're talking like to your face, right? It's like, yeah, the art. Okay, if you remember like Arthur, remember the Arthur fist is like,
Oh yeah. Oh
like,
yeah. You clenching your fist, the author clenching
you
the
know what
fist.
I'm saying? Like your fist that hard, right? But it's in those moments where it's like, you know what? I'm not gonna do it. I'm so not gonna do it. As much as I really want to, flesh is weak. So as much as I really want to, I'm not doing it. Spirit is
Mhm.
willing. That's the other
Hmm.
part in that verse that you're saying, right? The flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing. So my
Yes.
spirit is
Amen.
saying, don't engage. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna not engage.
Yeah.
So
Like if I for this section, like the main thing that comes to my mind is something I've applied to my life for a while now, which is just because I can don't mean that I should.
mm-hmm.
Mm.
Just because I could retaliate and get you back in a way that you would have never thought, I should just let it go. Let it, let God. Let that be God's battle. Just because I can take that candy away from you because I think it look good and I like it, don't do it. I'm giving
Yeah.
just some random examples.
Hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
But
Hmm.
it's like if um even if let's say something comes to your presence and or let's kind of tie it back to what I previously read. Like let's say a girl that you liked all this time comes up to you and she's just like, I want to give you all of me.
Hmm.
And I'm not going to fight it. I want it, all of that stuff. Just because I can do that, don't mean that I should do that. You know, like just in that instance, just politely decline.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Decline.
Yep.
I'm somebody that's waiting for marriage to happen. You know, so
Yeah.
just because you can, don't mean that you should, and it applies across the board.
Hmm.
So I think that whole section kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah. I'll go through go through mine pretty quickly, but as I was reading, I went back to verse 41 specifically, and it talks about going the extra mile, right? So going the extra mile, and excuse me, it mentions how whoever forces you to go 1 mile, go with them too. There's an example that I found. So the example says it involves lawsuits. So for example, if anyone wants to sue you and excuse me, take your shirt, let them have your coat also. If someone claims something against you, let them have not only what they claim, but even more. Instead of digging in and lawyering up and making your neighbor an adversary, make them your friend by giving them what they demand plus something extra for good measure. This this is, I believe, in direct connection in reference to one thing that we read from earlier, I believe verse 25, and then one thing we mentioned about I had mentioned when God says vengeance is mine. Vengeance is mine. And he talks about, and you think of in this instance with the example, if somebody is going to sue you and you think, "Ah, I got to get my get back. I'm about to lawyer up. I got to get my get back." Instead of doing that, you follow instructions and since turn the other cheek, or and you believe in God and allow God to act accordingly. And if it is for them to be punished, that God will handle that. Allow him to handle that. Now I go back to verse 25 where it's a direct connection. It's a direct connection. And let me get my eyes on it. How it says, agree with your adversary quickly while you are on the way with him, lest your adversary deliver you to the judge hand you over to the officer, and you be thrown into prison. Direct connection to what verse 41 is saying is for you essentially to go the extra mile in spite of someone doing something to you that may seem hurtful, hence turning the other cheek. Because understand that now you're going to be held accountable for anything you decide to do, even if it starts here in the mind. And it, let's say
Mm-hmm.
it starts and ends here in the mind. Even if it starts and ends there, you'll still be accountable. You're still going to be held accountable. So allow God to work that out. You pray for them, and you ask God to not for you to not have a hardened heart towards them, and you ask that God delivers them from whatever they're going through, and you just keep moving forward. So this whole thing kind of ties in, even with us reading earlier, ties in to that section, that whole section right there. Again, it's tough. The flesh can be weak, but the spirit can be willing, as Brother Larry mentioned before. So
Mm-hmm.
that was something that I thought, and I instantly I was like, I gotta mention that, I gotta tie that in.
No, absolutely. You know, the Lord will always tell us that vengeance is His. So it's important. It's always important to have that in mind, and just in a practical sense too, right? When just never forget, to always pray for that person, even pray on behalf of that person, because I think when it's all said and done, and I'll say this to the audience out there that are believers, right? Like there's like just remember that our enemy coexists, right? Our enemy is crafty, right? Like our enemy is always going to be things of the spirit, and so you just never know some of the things that have occurred in that person's circumstance that caused them to do X, Y, and Z, you know? To which that is a thing. And then there's also people that are just mean, right? But my point is all the same. Pray. Just pray for those people.